Gotta love one of these. When you buy a Ford Bronco, you could either get the base spec, plain Jane, standard issue version with a 4-cylinder engine, or you could get a wild Raptor with over 400 horsepower. But in some cases, the second most powerful is the best. Like this, the Wildtrak edition of the Ford Bronco. Fun fact, Ford produced the Bronco from 1966 all the way until 1996 and then stopped production until extreme demand forced them to bring it back in 2021. Hello and welcome to yet another DubiCars video in which we talk about the Ford Bronco and what makes this Wildtrak edition special. In terms of design, the Ford Bronco perfectly blends old school design with modern styling. Take the front end for example. You've got this really flat front end which is really old school. You also got circular headlamps which is again old school. However, you've got the LED DRLs, that is a modern touch to it. Then you got the Bronco logo which, well, it really creates an impression on you. This screams Bronco from afar. Then you got the hooks up front on top of the bonnet. Now these, well, you can have limb risers on them or you can mount certain accessories on them. It says maximum load 150 pounds. Then you get to the bumper. You got recovery points marked in bright red. So, well, if you go off-road and you need some recovery, there's no shortage of them. You can get it done. You can mount a winch in here, although you do not get it as standard equipment. On the whole, the front end looks really nice. It's a very imposing front end. It's a rather simple rear end, don't you think? So you've got your LED tail lamps flanking it on either side. You've got your stop light, and then this is a full-size spare wheel on the boot. You've got your pony that, well, it's the mascot of the Bronco brand, and then you got a split tailgate. So there you have a lot of space, 661 liters to be exact, and you also have a lot of accessory mounts in here so that you can place whatever you're carrying on your off-road trip. And that pretty much sums up the rear. Now moving on to the side, this is where the Bronco looks the best if you ask me. That's because it looks huge even though it isn't. It's a short wheelbase version, it isn't even the 4-door, and yet it looks massive thanks to these. These are 35-inch tires from General Tire. All-terrain tires, of course, mounted on 17-inch rims. You got the Bronco mascot on there, the pony. That Wildtrak graphic right there, well, it really signifies what this vehicle is all about because it's got a mountainous terrain on it, and that is what this vehicle is capable of. It is really signifying that this vehicle can go on those terrain. And then you've got a massive step for you to get into the car, or it can also be used as a rock slider. The rear view mirror is massive, and so are the fender flares. Now that pretty much sums up the overall side profile of this SUV because this one, it looks nice. This feature makes the Bronco really cool. That is removable doors and roof. You can remove this entire thing and make the entire top half of this vehicle naked, and that, well, it gives you a new and unique driving experience. Step inside and all your impressions of it being an old school SUV are gone. You've got a boxy shape in here, especially on the dashboard, and well, it's dominated by two massive screens. Firstly, you've got one right behind the steering wheel. It's an 8-inch unit that displays a lot of information for the driver. Everything you need to know about the vehicle is on here. Then you've got this a 12-inch screen. It's massive. It displays a lot more information. For example, the trip computer tells me how many liters I'm using per 100 kilometers. It times the trip, and also it measures how many kilometers I've driven, the distance to empty on this trip, etc. And there's a lot more in here. Yes, you have all of your connectivity features, Android app, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's all present on this. There are 4 AC vents on the dashboard that let out a lot of air, and the air conditioning, well, you'll be glad to know in this heat, it is very effective indeed. Moving on to the center console, there are lots of buttons on here to control your media and also your climate control and air conditioning. Then you move on to this part where you've got your gear lever and your 4-wheel drive and drive modes control. So this is a rotary knob that switches between the drive modes. There are 7 of them, and on it are 3 buttons that handle the 4-wheel drive, so you can switch between 4H, 4L and 2H. This is a chunky gear lever that we very much like. That pretty much sums up the cockpit or the driver aspect of it. In terms of the seating, these are very comfortable seats indeed, especially the ones up front. Now these are dual tone and they look nice as well as feel nice. However, at the rear, despite it being a massive SUV, you can only seat 2, and those seats also look a bit cramped. So this is what powers the Ford Bronco. It's a 2.7 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine, produces 330 horsepower and 562 Nm. It's got a 10-speed automatic transmission, so you've got the perfect drive ratio for whatever terrain or whatever stuff you're driving on. It also has 4-wheel drive, as you might already know, so it's very much capable off-road because it's got 4-wheel drive, low ratio as well, and in addition you get lots of other hardware that makes life easy off the road. Like for example, you have front and rear electronic locking differentials. You also have the upgraded suspension with Bilstein dampers that makes it perfect for the desert kind of off-roading that we in the UAE love. So there it is in terms of the powertrain. It's very capable and it has earned the name Wildtrak. If you want an SUV that's extremely capable off-road and yet is more road-friendly than the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, the Ford Bronco Wildtrak is your best bet. That's it from us for now. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to DubiCars for more such videos. Also, if you're interested in this, find this car and more like it from RMA Motors on the DubiCars app. That's it from us for now. We'll see you in the next video.